Welcome to Game Fondue Reviews. In this video, we're going to take a look at Bang the Dice Game. Based off the popular card game, this is a dice game set in the Wild West. Let's jump right in with the description of the rules, see a few example turns being played, then I'll be back for some closing remarks. This is Bang the Dice Game, set up for a 5-player game. To set it up, you put the 9 arrows in the middle and you put a supply of dice nearby. You give everybody a character card, which they put face up, that is going to dictate how much health they start with. It's this number here, so that's how many bullets they put on themselves. The bullets are health in this game. And then you're going to shuffle up the roll cards, and depending on the number of players, you're going to have a different mix. But with 5 players, it's 1 sheriff, 1 deputy, 2 outlaws, and a renegade. And you distribute them randomly. Only the sheriff reveals his role. Everybody else keeps their secret, and the sheriff gets to take 2 extra health beyond whatever the card said. The game turn is very simple. You're just going to roll all 5 dice, and then you're going to re-roll them up to 2 times. If the first time you re-roll and you keep some dice to the side, you could later re-roll those dice for the 3rd roll. The game ends immediately if the sheriff ever dies. It also ends if all of the outlaws and renegades are defeated. The different characters have different win conditions. The sheriff and the deputy win together, or multiple deputies win, if all of the outlaws and renegade are defeated. In the case of the deputy, that means he could win even if he has died, but remember, the game ends immediately if the sheriff dies. If the sheriff is killed and the only person left is the renegade, which is this red one here, that person wins. So in order for him to win, he must kill the sheriff last, because as soon as the sheriff dies, the game's over, and he has to be the last one standing. On the other end is the outlaws. So if the sheriff dies before there's only the renegade left, the outlaws win. So let's go through that turn and what the dice do. So first, you always roll all 5. Like so, and then any arrows among them get resolved immediately. All the other dice resolve at the end of the turn, but arrows happen right away. So when you roll an arrow, you take one of the arrows from the center for each arrow you rolled, and you put it in your area. If all of the arrows are taken, meaning there's none left in this supply, everybody who has arrows takes that much damage. So if all the arrows were gone, and this guy had 4 and 1 or whatever, he would take 4 damage to his health right at that time. This person would take 1. And then afterward, all the arrows go back to the center, like so. And you can still re-roll arrow dice. So at this point, all the dice are re-rolled that you'd like to re-roll. You can certainly keep some out if you like the results, even the arrows. But the dynamites cannot be re-rolled. If at any time you roll 3 dynamites, your turn ends immediately and you lose 1 bullet or 1 health point. So the next thing is the aims. There's a 2 and a 1, and what those do is they allow you to damage people that far away. So 1 would be the person to the left or right of you, and 2 would be 2 away in either direction. And when you damage them, they just lose 1 bullet or 1 health point. It's important to think about who you're shooting and when you're shooting them because of the different conditions. Like the deputy probably doesn't want to shoot the sheriff, and if the sheriff doesn't know who the deputy is, or somebody tricks him, he might end up shooting him. The only thing to note here is if a player is eliminated from the game, they don't count. So this guy would only be 1 space away from the sheriff if this player was already dead. Next are the beers, and you can use the beer on anybody, yourself or another player, and that heals them 1 health. They get to take 1 more bullet. You can never go above your starting health. For the sheriff, it's a starting health plus 2. So if you use the beer on somebody who's already at max health, nothing happens. And lastly is the Gatling, and like the dynamite, you need to get 3 of them for something to happen. So if you get 3 Gatlings, good news is you get to get rid of all of your arrows, and the bad news for everybody else is everybody takes 1 damage. You can't selectively shoot. Every other person at the table, not yourself, takes 1 damage because they just got Gatlinged. So when a player gets eliminated, they discard all their arrows back to the center, so there's more arrows in the supply, and they're totally out of the game. They don't take any more turns, but depending on their role and the way the game unfolds, they might still win. Let's get going with this example playthrough. The sheriff always goes first, so he's going to take the dice and roll them. And he didn't get any arrows or anything like that. He's going to re-roll all these because he doesn't know who he wants to shoot yet. Oh no, sheriff. So he got 3 arrows, so he has to immediately take those 3 arrows, and then he's going to re-roll everything 1 more time. He's got 1 more arrow, which is really not great, and a dynamite that he wouldn't be able to re-roll, but he's done rolling anyway. And then he has this 1. He decides he's just going to shoot Rose Doolin because Rose Doolin is up next. So now it's her turn. She rolls the dice, and she got a dynamite that she can't re-roll. She's going to keep these 1s and re-roll these others. Another dynamite, but she's going to roll 1 more time. Remember, she could also re-roll these if she wanted to. And she got an arrow. She's kind of happy about that because she wants to hurt the sheriff fast and furious. So these 2 bullets, unfortunately, are going to the sheriff. He loses 2 health, but the character ability of Pedro Ramirez is every time he takes damage, he can get rid of arrows, so he's going to do that. And then it's over here to this guy. And he's going to roll. He's got some beers he doesn't want to use, but so he's going to keep this 2 though, and then roll again. He's going to roll the rest of these one more time. So 2 dynamite, he's still okay. Remember, if you ever get 3 dynamite, you lose a health and you can't roll anymore if you still have rolls left. But your dice do whatever it is that they do. They just happen at that time. So he's got a 2 and a 1. So that 1 is going to hit this guy over here. And then this 2, he's going to hit the sheriff because the sheriff is 2 away. Now it's this guy's turn, and I believe he's the deputy. He is, so he's probably wanting to help the sheriff out a little bit. But he got an arrow. That's not good. And he's got to keep this. He's going to keep these 1s because he feels like the guy before him wasn't a nice guy, and then he's going to roll again. Oh no! So the deputy takes a damage because he got 3 of these, but then he still does 2 damage this way. Last is the renegade. The renegade doesn't know what he wants to do yet, and he's got a whole bunch of arrows on his guy, so he's not really sure. He's going to re-roll everything, and he's got a dynamite and another arrow. At this point, he's kind of just hoping that he gets 1 more arrow, so he's going to try again, and he gets it. Not to mention, he's got these dynamite, so that's going to happen too. But first, this happens, so he gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. That is really a lot of damage. And remember, he could have rolled 1 more time because he has this special ability that allows him to, but he's got the dynamite. And then the sheriff is going to take 2 damage, and Rose Doolin is going to take a damage, and the deputy over here takes a damage. And they're all back in the middle, and he has this 1. He's a little afraid. He doesn't want to shoot the sheriff quite yet, so he's going to shoot the deputy over here, and the deputy's getting pretty low. Also, he had these bombs go off, so he takes another damage. He's not doing too well. And the game's going to continue like this until either the sheriff dies or everybody else dies, except the deputy, and then you win based on your roll. I enjoy Bang the Card Game, but in my opinion, this is a great improvement for casual settings, just because it's a lot easier to explain a 6-sided dice than it is to a whole stack of cards. People can jump right into this game and they get it instantly. People of all ages can come together and play this one really well. It's real good for family settings or beer and pretzel settings just because of its simplicity and how fast it plays. It keeps everybody interested with the different roles and the different characters and their own powers, but the gameplay is very simple and it ends really fast, so people don't take things, too personally if one person decides to keep shooting at them or things like that. So this is a real good one for family settings, or if you're in a group that just enjoys these types of fun little fast games, check it out. Bang the Dice Game.